All right, guys, it's Miss Hardy recording for Tuesday, the 23rd of March. We are starting the nervous system. I've posted a PowerPoint for you, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and break the notes down for you. We are not doing the entire PowerPoint today. We're going to focus basically on learning what you need to learn to be able to answer the essential question that you see on the board. How does the CNS and the PNS differ in anatomy and physiology? I've added a piece to that on your essential question quiz that I have posted for today. Basically, do we understand the anatomy and physiology? Remember, anatomy is what it is, what it looks like. Physiology is what it does. And then how does that affect the human body? So that's what your quiz question is today. We will finish this in more than enough time for you guys to be able to answer that question here in the classroom. But if you are at home, this will be beneficial in helping you answer it. And it is due tonight. So remember, we are not going to go all the way through this PowerPoint today. I just don't want to give you so much information and then you lose track of what the goal is today. The goal today is to understand the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, understand the parts and pieces. We're going to make basically like a tree map over here on the board, and then to understand some basic vocabulary terms like neuron, dendrite, and a couple of other ones that we're going to break down. So I've got this projected. So we know and have talked about the nervous system a lot in the past. Remember, we started talking about the nervous system with the muscular system. Why? Why is it important that our nervous system work with our muscular system? It sends the message. So the nervous system tells the muscles what to do, right? Think about digestion. Once I swallow my food, am I in charge of digesting my food? Who's sending that message? The nervous system. Think about urination. Once the urine gets into my bladder, who sends the signal to me, to my brain, to let me know you need to pee, girlfriend? The nervous system. So arguably, in my opinion, the nervous system is the most important system of the body, because without it, we would have no voluntary control over the parts and pieces in our body that we do. Okay, so that's what we know about the topic already. Can everybody see this okay? I'm going to hit one light because there are some darker screens. Okay, so again, I told you we're going to kind of make a tree map. That's over here. So what we're going to do is break the nervous system down into the two main pieces. That's the CNS and the PNS. Okay, so up here you can write NS. That's your nervous system. Okay, the simplest section of the nervous system is what we call our CNS. Our CNS is our central nervous system. Okay, we're going to break that one down first. You are welcome to sit in that black chair if you want, totally up to you so you can see. Girl, these tables, I don't know what's happening with these tables. I normally don't have desks in here, and then the process of switching them out. And those of you that are listening at home, if you would like to transition to face-to-face, on April 13th, everybody can come both weeks, so take advantage of that if you'd like. So the CNS is the simpler one, but when I say simple, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that even though it's simple, this is the boss. Okay, this is the boss of everything. I'm going to go ahead and write that right here in capital letters. This is the boss. Okay, what's the boss of our entire body? What structure do you think it includes? Say it. Your brain. So the first one is the brain. Where do we find our brain? What's this called? Your skull. Okay, because we're going to use our medical terms, so skull. Remember, there's this special thing that runs through here. What's it called? Your spinal cord. That's the other big part of the central nervous system. It's not. We don't have dumb questions.
What does it say? Is that central?
Central, yes, central nervous system. Yes, central nervous system. So these are the two components of the central nervous system. You have your brain, okay, right? It's up in here. And then the brain connects to this yellow thing that you see right here. That's your spinal cord. Now you all see these little yellow things coming off right here? These are your nerves. That's a part of the peripheral nervous system. We're going to talk about it. When I say central, right, we think about the center of our body. There's nothing more center than our brain and our spinal cord, right? So that's why it makes sense that those two things are in our spinal, those are our central nervous system. Everybody hold your thumb up, okay? That's how thick your spinal cord is. It runs through the middle of these vertebrae. Okay, that's how thick it is. It's very important. Okay, remember, if you were to get in a car accident and have an injury to your back and damage your spinal cord, you could lose feeling and sensation all the way down because the brain is trying to send the signal down the spinal cord, maybe to right here, and then send it out the rest of the way, and the signal can't get there because your spinal cord is damaged. Okay. So just remember that. Now, spinal cord can repair itself. Some people are what we call incomplete paralysis or incomplete quadriplegics or whatever, and that means that they may get back some motion or get back some feeling as the spinal cord heals. But we have some people who are complete, okay? So if you completely have an injury here and it completely transects or cuts the spinal cord, you're not going to get that back, because we can't heal it. There's nothing connecting the two parts, okay? Make sense? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna block this off. We are done with the central nervous system, okay? The central nervous system is easy. It's the brain, it's the spinal cord, okay? There's gonna be, excuse me, there's going to be a chart that comes up later that really breaks all of it down a little bit better for you. It's not really a chart, it's more of like a visual. So we're going to, when we get there, I'll show it to you, but I'm doing a tree map because it helps me kind of see it in my head. The next thing that we have is the peripheral nervous system. It's called the PNS. So we said this was central, right? Central meaning like center of the body. What does it mean when I say peripheral? The side of the body. Think about your peripheral vision. What you can see on the side. So peripheral nervous system is anything coming out of the spinal cord. So it's all these nerves. Y'all, I apologize. I swallowed a bug. Just kidding. My kid had a nasty cold last week. It's not COVID. I was tested, and she shared it with me. Because she slobbers in my mouth. And I drink it because it's my kid. And I would literally lick her body clean like a mama dog if I had to. Okay? All right, so peripheral nervous system. This is kind of like our center. And this is going to kind of, we'll kind of keep it turned like the side. So it's everything else. All right, so here's where it gets kind of sticky because we got to break the PNS down. There's a lot of different parts, okay? So let's start with the first part. We have the part we control and the part that's automatic, okay? So the part that we control, we call somatic. This is our voluntary part. Now remember, we talked about a couple of different muscles in the body, right? We talked about skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscles. Which one of those is voluntary? Which one do we control? Skeletal, right? So that's the somatic nervous system. Okay, that's the somatic nervous system. It's voluntary, so that's our skeletal muscle, because remember, I'm in charge of where I want my hands to go. Right? When I walk past my husband, I go, I like your cut, G. All right? I'm in charge of that. Okay, that's my somatic nervous system. But we also know there's a part that we're not in control of. Okay? That's what we call our autonomic or autonomic. Auto like automatic. Okay? Which means we have no control. All right? This is our involuntary. I know I skipped this slide. Hold on, guys. Everybody write this and let me talk you through this slide and then we'll catch up. Okay, so this slide basically is just telling you that the central nervous system is the boss. It's in control of everything. So my peripheral nervous system can't function without my central nervous system. Okay, my brain and my spinal cord can still function if my legs don't work, right? Or if my arms don't work, if I'm in a car accident. So the CNS is the big boss, okay? We know that the skull and the vertebrae protect those structures. Okay, that's what this slide is talking about. Later this week, I'm going to try to find a video. There's a exhibit that goes around the world, and it's living anatomy. And so basically what they do is all the different body systems, like all of the bones, all of the skin, all of the lymph nodes, all of the digestive system, they actually pull it from real human cadavers and display it. And I'm going to try to find it for the nervous system because it's honestly the coolest thing. So that's what you see here. So central nervous system, again, another picture. We've already talked about that. Now we're breaking down the PNS. So I apologize. I went ahead and moved ahead and I didn't get the slides going. So just a quick review. PNS is peripheral nervous system. It's talking about everything kind of to the side of the spinal cord. Okay. The somatic nervous system is the first part of the PNS. It's what we have control over. Okay. I tell it what to do. That's my skeletal muscle. Then we move over to the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is automatic. Automatic. It's involuntary. So that would be our smooth muscles, right? And what other kind of muscle? Cardiac muscle. You got it. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's okay. Cardiac. Remember, I don't tell my heart to beat, right? I don't tell my stomach to digest the 2 potato soft tacos, no lettuce, extra sauce that I ate at 11 o'clock. Okay? They were cold from last night because they got rid of them for a while and now they're back. Money. Okay, they're only $1. Try them. They're good. It's potato and cheese and sauce. I'm about to choke myself. So we do not control this. It is involuntary. It's automatic. Talked about the 2 types. Now we have another layer to the tree. Okay. The autonomic nervous system. We know that we don't control digestion. We don't control some things, but we have to break it down a little bit further because there's 2 branches to the autonomic nervous system. Okay. We have the parasympathetic. I'm going to let you write them and then we're going to talk about them. Didn't leave yourself enough room. Okay. We have the parasympathetic and we have the sympathetic. Write this, then listen. 3 little birds sat on my window. Can't get it out of my head. Is that Jorge laughing? You have TikTok? Have you seen that one?
No.
You don't have a TikTok?
No.
I have a TikTok. I like the TikTok. Okay. All right. Parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Okay. One is our fight or flight response. We're going to break it down. Okay. One is our rest and digest. So let's start with fight. How many of you have heard fight or flight? Okay. If somebody walks in here right now and he says, "Give me all your money." Okay. Are you going to start thinking about how you're going to run away? Or are you going to start thinking about, I'm about to take this joker down. I'm not giving you nothing. Okay. That's a part of your sympathetic your sympathetic nervous system. So this is your fight or flight response. For healthcare providers, this is a really important system because I'll give you a perfect example, okay? On Sunday, I had a patient, great guy. We're walking around. He's on the cardiac tower. So he's got some stuff going on with his cardiac system. I don't even really remember what's going on with him. He's walking around fine. We get to the gym, okay? And he goes unresponsive on me, like not responding to my questions. He looks like he's having like a staring seizure. My fight or flight system says, hold him, press the staff assist button, sir, are you okay? That's almost that automatic response that my body has gone into. Now, some of us are CPR, right? I can probably remember CPR without even having to like say it to you because I've done it for so long. That's that fight or flight response. How many of you have seen the movies where like the man comes in and he's going to kill you, right? You got some people that run away. Right? You got some people that are like, we've got to square up. I mean, I don't know what we do. Okay? Fight or flight. All right? That is this system. Okay? The opposite of this system, this is like your alert system, right? This kind of keeps you on your toes, right? This is going to be really high activity. This is when you're stressed out. This is when something's going on. This is when your body is at its highest level of performance. Okay? This is when my kid goes like this when I give her like a piece of chicken, right? My fight or flight is like, all right, if I'm about to do the Heimlich, we better do it, okay? This is a lot, right? So our bodies have to have time to recuperate and rest. So we have our parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest. I said that wrong. Rest and digest. Okay? When you rest and digest, that's when your body is not on high alert. Your body is in a relaxed state. And it's doing normal daily functions. Normal. Everybody see my spelling this thing? This is your normal. Okay? Does everybody understand? This is our system that kicks in when there's something going on. You're starting to sweat. You're getting anxious. You're ready, right? Whenever my husband makes me mad, yesterday, he left some clothes in the dryer. Coming in the house, I'm ready, boy. We about to fight. We about to throw hands. We about to fight, okay? After I yell at him and I calm down, my body goes into rest and digest. Can you go get me some Taco Bell? You know, right? Need to digest some food, okay? So this is like there's a lot going on. I'm kind of relaxing. I'm chilling, okay? Don't think about this as personality. Like, obviously, I'm on 100 all the time. That is not my sympathetic nervous system working overdrive. This is just my personality, right? If there's an emergency that happens, you will very quickly see, are people going to be a fighter or are they going to be a flighter, okay? And you'll see that in the medical world, okay? Some of us, you can't help it, right? If I was to go down on the ground right now, what would you do? How many of you would just stare at me? Right? How many of you would be like, oh my God, go get somebody? How many of you might come over and be like, you good? Okay? So sometimes you just can't control it. Okay? As healthcare providers, it's our job to make sure that we are trained and ready, someone goes down. But please God, go get somebody. Okay? Last year when I was pregnant, we went through what would happen. Okay? If my water breaks, this is who I need you to go get. Okay? All right. Questions, comments, or concerns? This is your tree map. Okay? This is the end of this side. Dang, that's an ugly square. Okay. What we need to do now, I'm going to talk a little bit, and then we're going to break down some vocabulary. Okay. So I want you kind of on the side of this piece of paper that you just made to be ready to take some vocabulary down after I fix this square. I have such good handwriting, but sister can't draw. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So what you see here is the slide that I was talking about earlier. So this diagram has a visual representation of all of the different systems we've talked about here in the CNS and the PNS. Okay, so you have the nervous system, your CNS, brain and spinal cord. You have your peripheral nervous system, which is all the little nerves coming out of the body. You have your autonomic stuff that happens automatically, and it gives you examples. Then you have your somatic nervous system, which is the stuff we're in charge of. So it has it connected to muscles. So this is a really great diagram to be able to put everything visual in your head if you are a visual learner. Okay? So make sure you revisit this slide if you need to. Now we're going to move on to some vocabulary. Okay, this is another slide example about fight or flight or rest and digest. Okay? Now we're moving on to nervous tissue. We only have 2 slides left, 2 or 3, because this is the bulk of what you need today, but we have to hit this vocabulary sometime, so we might as well fill up your whole piece of paper, okay? So, in first period, I had them write down neuroglial cells, which is that first one that you see up here, but really, it's kind of like, he's like your pinch hitter coming in 7th inning because you're already 10 runs up, okay? He's not that important right now. So we're going to break down these first 4 things, the first 4 types of cells that you find in your CNS. So you need to write CNS right here. If you want to, you can write it under your CNS on the other side. You can write like vocab, cells, whatever. I just don't have enough room over there, so that's why I moved over here. In the CNS, we have 4 different types of cells. So I'm going to go ahead and number it. The first one is astrocytes. Now, I'm going to give you a shortened way to remember this. That does not mean that you never need to come back to this slide ever again in your whole life, praise whoever, amen, okay? You do need to come back to this slide and review, but I'm going to give you a short one-word way to remember. So your astrocytes are your support cells, okay? They support structures. They support neurons. They support blood vessels. So everything in the brain and the spinal cord are getting all the nutrients that they need. Okay, the next one is microglia. Okay, microglia. Microglia are basically like your janitors. They absorb and dispose of any type of germ, bacteria, dead cells, etc. Okay, so I'm going to put here janitor. They get rid of the waste, whether it be dead cells that have already been replaced, whether it be bacteria that somehow made its way in, our body recognizes it, our nervous system says, we got to get rid of the trash. We'll take the trash out. Okay, so they're the janitors. The next one is your ependymal cells. Okay, your ependymal cells provide protection. Okay. Ependymal cells provide protection. Basically, it's like a protective covering. Think about you wear a jacket when it's cold outside, right? So your skin doesn't get cold. Your ependymal cells are your jackets of the central nervous system. Kind of keep everything safe. Okay? And then you have arguably the most important one that you need to remember is your oligodendrocytes. Lots of syllables there, lots of vowels. Okay, oligodendrocytes, right? So just break it up. Oligodendrocyte. Okay. Your oligodendrocytes produce myelin, and we're going to talk about what myelin is after you write this. Produce myelin. Almost fell, and y'all's fight or flight would have had to kick in. Who's leaving me up here to die, and who's going to get help? Okay. All right, so think about a cord, okay? This cord has yes, ma'am. Where? Here? Oligo? O-L-I-G-O. Does that help you? Okay, so myelin, think about this cord right here, okay? There's lots of little wires running in here, right? And the wires are sending the signal from the projector to the computer, right? So myelin is basically like this hard rubber covering that you have on the outside of these cords. Myelin is a fatty substance that surrounds the different nerves and neurons and things like that to kind of keep the nerve impulses or the signal going where it's supposed to be, okay? Myelin is that fatty substance that keeps nerve signals going where they're supposed to be. We're going to break that down even more. If you want to write a little something right here to help you remember, that's cool. Okay, there are certain disorders that we talk about in the nervous system where the myelin starts to disappear. So the nerves don't ever make it where they're supposed to make it. The nerve impulses don't make it where they're supposed to. Okay, because the myelin is gone. There's nothing there kind of keeping everything where it's supposed to be. Okay? Any questions, comments, or concerns about the 4 cells we discussed for the central nervous system? And the central nervous system is our what?
Boss.
Our boss. So what's the anatomy of our central nervous system? Brain and spinal cord. What's the physiology? It's the
Boss.
The boss. You got it. The peripheral nervous system is the what? It's not the brain and spinal cord. It's everything else. Okay, all of our nerves, okay? And that's in charge of what? A lot of different things, right? It's in charge of our voluntary emotions, our involuntary emotions, our fight or flight response, our rest and digest. I don't know why I got louder, and then I knew that was going to happen. All right, so we have one more thing to discuss, and that's the types of cells within the peripheral nervous system. So again, you can write this under here if you want. We have 2 types here. They're very similar to 2 of the types in the central nervous system, but we call them different things. We have to name them different things because they're in 2 different places. They have similar functions, sure, but they're not in the same place, so they can't have the same name, right? You can go to a lot of different places and get a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, right? But sometimes it's a biscuit, sometimes it's a croissant. I can't go to Subway and order a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit because they don't have it, right? They have a bacon, egg, and cheese sub, but you gotta understand, when you're going to a different place, it's got a different name. So Schwann cells basically form the myelin in the PNS. Okay, Schwann cells kind of come together and they get compact and tight, and they make the myelin, or that fatty substance that helps keep the nerve impulses going where they need to go. But they do it for the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so Schwann cells are really similar to oligodendrocytes, but they're in different areas. Okay, then we have satellite cells. Satellite cells are another form of support cells. So they're really similar to astrocytes, but they're in the PNS, so they're different. Okay. Remember, the anatomy is different. There is no brain and spinal cord in the PNS. So therefore, these satellite cells are not providing they are not providing support for the brain and spinal cord. They're providing support for the anatomy of the peripheral nervous system. So that, again, supports why we have different names for things, even though they have similar jobs, okay? Later, we're gonna talk about all this junk that you see up here. Okay, so we got to talk about nerves. We have to talk about the different, like what a neuron is. A neuron is the functional units of a nerve impulse. So it's how the nerve impulse or the directions get sent from place to place to place. Because the directions start up here, but we got to get them down to my toe to be able to wiggle my toe, right? So there's a lot of places it's got to go first. We're going to break all this down tomorrow, okay? So what I want you guys to do, if you're at home, this will be a great time for you to answer your essential question. What I want those of you to do who are in here is to pull up that essential question.